Hi, everyone. My name is Gina Wilson. I am a nurse practitioner who works in pediatrics, as well as I'm just finishing up my Doctor of Nursing practice. So, I am going to spend a little bit of time telling you about some things I've been involved in and things I'm doing in Africa. I first went to Africa about 2 years ago. I went to East Africa to the country of Tanzania, where I was doing work for my master's as a nurse practitioner. During that time, I was working in clinics. I worked in a family clinic where I saw a lot of babies and children and moms. I also worked in an HIV clinic where I was a part of new diagnosis of people with HIV. And then I also worked in a maternity labor and delivery clinic, which was my favorite. Um, my history in nursing is in women's health, so it was close to my heart before I even got there. When I was in the labor and delivery clinic, I was helping with deliveries and seeing, being a part of these deliveries. And honestly, after a few deliveries, I was on cloud nine. I thought, wow, this is amazing to experience this in another country. And just to see the cultural differences was really intriguing for me until a delivery went terribly wrong. A mom was delivering a baby and she started bleeding. The baby was having difficulty breathing, and the room filled with chaos. We were all scrambling around trying to care for this mom and her baby, and there were very few resources. I think there was those around were not, including myself, were not educated in a way to really help this mom and this baby, especially in the setting we were in. So, to be very honest, that day shook me. We were able to do some basic things for the mom and to help her bleeding stop. And the baby was breathing okay, but that baby in the US would have gone to the NICU and would have been watched very closely for days. So it was a very different experience. It was traumatic for me. I, um, I remember just having to sit down outside after it was all over, and that mom grabbed her baby. Well, she got up off this tiny bench that she delivered on, and got her baby and walked back to her village that day. Um, and that day, that night, for weeks later, that experience really haunted me. I played it over in my mind, thinking about how I could, help in some way, even if it was small. And that led me to trying to figure out what I could do to help. Also, on that trip, I was there for about a month, a little over a month, I think. And when I was there, I felt like the thing that continued to resonate and play over in my mind was to much is given, much is required. And at first, I thought of that as I've been given so much just by being born in the US, and therefore, much is required of me. We've been given so much materially, as we have tons of stuff, and we have just by being born in the US, even in the poorest family in the US, we have access to health care. We have we're far more advanced than many other places as far as material possessions and healthcare. So those were the two things I really thought about. That man, I've been given so much. I have to help, and that really led me to my next step, which was going back and figuring out a way to help that made sense and that was helpful to the people there. And that's when I went. I went to Zanzibar, which is also part of Tanzania, very different from the place I was to start. But this place is predominantly Islamic Muslim and again has the deficits with healthcare. Um, and so I went back to implement a program called Helping Babies Breathe, which focuses on training midwives on how to resuscitate newborns who have trouble breathing at birth, which is one of the leading causes of death of newborns. So, um, and all of that was a complete God story on how everything fell into place. I was able to obtain the training I needed. Churches sponsored the supplies. I had this dream, and I was like, how am I going to do this? Little me, who doesn't have a ton of financial resources, how am I going to supply this country with what they need to take care of these babies in the first little bit of life? And but Christ was faithful, and he did amazing things, far more than I could ever have dreamed of or imagined, and went back. And I just felt like Christ was telling me, this time I was there for a long time. I was there for 2 months or so. And I felt like Christ was telling me, just stay in my arms, Gina. I've got this. And so it was really just complete surrender, which is where I really like to live. I like to be in a spot where I feel like I can't do it. And as I surrendered more and more, I realized that I can't do anything without him. I can't even breathe without him. And so I really try to stay in that place of surrender. Um, and during that trip, we trained 6 master trainers, which were midwives, who then trained 27 other midwives on how to take care of these babies. Supplies were able to be given, and really Zanzibar took this project on as their own because those midwives trained the other midwives. I left there with a different sense of too much is given, much is required. I left thinking, I have been given so much by these people, by the people of Zanzibar. They have given me so much because they have so much. It's a different, why Africa? Why Tanzania? For me, it's that what's valued is so much more important there. We think we have much with all the stuff we have and all the advancements in technology and all the advancements in healthcare, but they have so much joy, so much life, so much community by just being together and relying on each other. It's really so beautiful. And I really feel that I gain far more when I'm there than I ever receive. I gain more from them, far more than I could ever give. And it's just, I feel so thankful, and my heart is so grateful that I get to go and be a part of what they're doing there. And as of late, I'm going on another adventure, which really Christ opened this door for this next adventure, which is in Ghana. I'm going to be helping with implementation for the country, with Helping Babies Breathe, the program I spoke about earlier, and then 2 other programs that focus on newborn care. So I'm excited about it. I feel like I'm in over my head again, but I know that's where I want to be. And because that's when I surrender. And it's far greater than anything I can do because it relies on the Holy Spirit. And I'm excited about this. And just to give you one other quick story about how that evolved was, I was working a job, laying in bed. My husband was snoring, and I was praying out the window. And I was in a desperate time because I hadn't felt like I was with the Spirit for a couple days, and I'm so desperate for that. I long to walk with the Spirit, and if I don't, I miss it. And so I I was desperate that night. I was working a job in pediatrics where I was working a lot of hours and not able to spend as much time on my dreams in Africa and in Zanzibar and wherever. And so I was journaling these dreams. I was trying to write down all these thoughts I had, and I was praying, and I was looking out the window, and our window in the place we were living overlooked the street, and it was a pretty busy street near the beach. And I was praying, Lord, like, I just want to feel you move, like, just move, please. And I prayed that this homeless guy would ride by and I would know it was Christ, and I would run down and give him food because I knew that would be Christ moving. I was just so desperate to feel him with me. And I said, Lord, please let a bird come to my window, which is, and kind of desperate. And then after that, I, prayed and nothing happened. Okay. I looked out my window. I was praying for all these things and nothing happened. And um, so I fell asleep, after a while. And the next morning I got a call about this opportunity in Ghana. And I knew it was him. And I knew when that phone call came that even if it didn't work out, I knew that was Christ moving, and I just cried. But I go, to Africa because I find the most joy there. I feel the most alive, and I go to really find Jesus. I find Jesus there, and he's doing incredible stuff there. And anyway, I guess that's a little bit about my story and about Africa. And if you ever have the opportunity or if you're involved, go. If you want to know more, contact me. I'd love to talk. This is so much a part of my heart and my passion that I'm always excited to talk about it or help anyone plug in, because I remember being in a spot where I just wanted to go and help in some way. And if you have that heart, contact me. My phone number is 704-770-5648. And you can email me as well. It's gmw8@duke.edu. All right. Much love to all of you women, and thank you for letting me share. It's an honor, and I'm just thankful to share what Christ is doing.